To make the testimony is the base of the faith and the fast and the praise.
Respected parents, teachers, and guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een, amma ba'd. We often hear about our shortcomings as a nation, whether it be the economic, educational, or moral point of view. We sometimes are too self-critical about our nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed numerous favors upon us all. The foremost among them that He has granted us the blessing of being Muslims. And while to a certain extent it is positive that we are aware of some of our defects, our reaction to that is to merely glorify the West and to fantasize living there. Seldom do we think about improving our situation collectively. We all desire change, a change in our quality of life, and a change in our prominence and value as a nation. But how do we go about achieving that change? Allah states in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Surely Allah does not change the condition of a people unless they change that which is in themselves. Surah Ar-Ra'd, verse number 11. This verse alludes to the fact that collective change is ultimately dependent upon the change that an average individual is able to inspire within himself. As such, before we think about tackling the problems we perceive as being more manifest in us as a whole, we need to start by setting ourselves upright from our foundations. Let us see what we need to change in ourselves according to the standards set by Allah the Most Wise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned a list of characteristics of successful believers in Surah Al-Mu'minun from Ayah 1 till Ayah 11. These verses outline the basic traits that we should all assign as our personal self-improvement targets. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Success is really attained by the believers. We all are believers by the grace of Allah. But are we successful? And are we going to be among the successful believers in the hereafter? In the following few ayat, Allah mentioned some of the traits of successful people that we all must strive to adopt. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Who keep themselves away from vain things. Referring to those who avoid all the things that have no benefit in this world nor the hereafter. Those who do not waste their time in constant entertainment, such as watching movies and dramas, playing video games, watching cricket matches, and scrolling through WhatsApp statuses, and occupying themselves in useless discussions about politics and social gossip. Rather, they strive to make the best of their time by doing more beneficial things, such as physical exercise, remembrance of Allah, and performing other good deeds. Thus, target number 1 is that we avoid all vain and useless activities. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who humble themselves in prayer. Let us ponder, are we in a state of humility and reverence to Allah in our prayers? Is it not the case that most of us rush through our prayers by reciting short surahs and du'as very quickly and finishing the postures in like fashion? Humility to Allah in prayer is attained through having an awareness of His attributes, through understanding what we recite in our prayers, and through executing the postures at a measured pace. Thus, target number 2 is that we improve the quality of our prayers. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. Those who are observant of zakah. Numerous scholars have interpreted the word zakah in this ayah as the act of purifying ourselves, which is similar to the word tazkiyah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be conscious of our self-development and to purify ourselves from anything that hinders our spiritual, mental, and physical growth. This includes staying away from evil deeds and bad habits, and it also entails that we look after our physical health. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves a strong believer more than a weak believer. Sahih Muslim, hadith number 2664. Thus, target number 3 is that we constantly strive to improve ourselves as a whole, spiritually, mentally, and physically. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. Those who guard their chastity. Verses 5, 6, and 7 deal with guarding chastity. This is attained through avoiding all the components of immorality and shamelessness, the most primary of which is lowering the gaze. We have to lower our gaze in front of the opposite gender and avoid mixed gatherings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the believers to develop a society in which the genders are segregated in every field and sector, be it hospitals, schools, or markets. Narrated by Anas bin Malik radiyallahu ta'ala an. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-fuhsh, indecency, is never present in anything except that it ruins it, and al-haya, modesty, is never present in anything except that it beautifies it. Sunan at-Tirmidhi, hadith number 1974. Thus, target number 4 is that we guard ourselves against immodesty and shamelessness. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. Those who look after their trusts and covenants. Fulfilling our promises is an extremely important trait of a believer. It includes honesty in roles as employers and employees. We have to strive to build a society that constitutes truthful business partners, law-abiding citizens, trustworthy spouses, transparent governments, and caring neighbors. Honesty and integrity are essential parts of faith. Thus, target number 5 is that we ensure that we fulfill our trusts and promises. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. And those who guard their prayers. How can we ensure we do not miss our prayers? By making it our utmost priority. This can be done by planning our day and structuring our routine in such a way that it accommodates for prayers to be offered in congregation. Thus, target number 6 is that we ensure that none of our prayers are missed. It is about these people possessing these noble characteristics that Allah goes on to say, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Those are the ones who are the inheritors, who will inherit Al-Firdaus, the paradise. They will be there forever. To summarize, these verses have given us 6 targets of self-improvement that would make us among the successful believers. Humility and mindfulness in prayers, avoidance of time-wasting activity, striving for self-development, guarding our chastity, honesty in our dealings, and being punctual about our prayers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the determination to bring about a positive change in ourselves, and may He create a sense of unity and brotherhood among us. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وما علي إلا البلاغ.